In this episode, we are focusing on BiolineRx, a smaller Israeli company who aim to become the leader in the development of novel therapeutics for the treatment of cancers. I bring this video to you now, a few days after the company had reported successful data from their phase 3 clinical trial in one of their programs. Although I have a PhD in biomedical engineering and over 15 years of working experience in the healthcare industry, I do not intend to give you investment advice. Please do your own research before making any investments. You are watching Health Wealth. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you're not, nice to have you back. A quick shout out to Stanley, a regular viewer of my channel, who alerted me to the fact that the company was about to report their phase 3 clinical data. BiolineRx were founded in 2003 and are co-owned by Novartis with a share of 12.8%. The company has a current market capitalization of just shy over 149 million US dollars. The company currently has two products in their clinical pipeline, which are abbreviated BL-8040 and AGI-134. The most advanced of these two programs is the BL-8040 program, also called Motixafortide. Motixafortide is investigated for three different indications, of which the stem cell mobilization is the currently most advanced program on which they reported their phase 3 clinical trial data. The two other indications are for pancreatic cancer and for acute myeloid leukemia. Around these three indications, the company is currently running 12 clinical studies. Their other program, AGI-134, is an alpha-gal glycolipid which is aimed at solid tumors and ultimately enabling the immune system to recognize solid tumors and to help destroying them. A phase 1/2a clinical study for this compound was started in August of 2018, and the second part of the study was initiated in September 2019, with results also expected in the second half of 2021. Though, let's now focus on their most advanced clinical program and the phase 3 data they just reported. As mentioned earlier, the most advanced of their programs is the BL-8040 for the indication of hematopoietic stem cell and progenitor cell mobilization for the treatment of multiple myeloma. The normal course of action for the treatment of blood malignancies often involves chemotherapy. And in order to quickly restore their immune system after the chemotherapy, many patients require autologous hematopoietic stem cell transplantation. Hematopoietic stem cells reside in the bone marrow and are essential for the formation of the many different types of cells that constitute and make up our blood. The challenge that the BL-8040 compound addresses is the fact that hematopoietic stem cells do not circulate in large quantities in the normal bloodstream. However, sufficient quantities have to be filtered out from the bloodstream in a process called apheresis. In order to increase the amount of these desired cells circulating in the bloodstream, medications are given. However, this standard of care does not address the needs of all patients, as seemingly 50 to 70% of patients being treated do not respond well and are said to be poor mobilizers, meaning that the amount of hematopoietic stem cells circulating in their bloodstream and then to be filtered out later on is too low. Data compiled by BiolineRx indicate that in 2018 there were roughly 45,000 of such transplantations, and that the number of hematopoietic stem cell transplantations linked to the treatment of multiple myeloma have doubled since 2010. Whereas the standard of care for the mobilization of hematopoietic stem cells involving the drug Mozobil requires multiple injections for those who respond poorly, the BL-8040 drug of BiolineRx requires only a single administration of their drug, even for those patients who are considered poor mobilizers. This could potentially set up BL-8040 as a new standard of care and possibly, according to BiolineRx, expand the market to include other indications such as for lymphomas and sickle cell anemia. However, this needs to be seen. In case you're interested for further reading, I'll leave a link to this publication in the description in the video below. This publication lists the advantages and disadvantages comparing allogenic versus autologous hematopoietic stem cell transplantations. Based on a high-level summary of the Phase 3 study results, we see that the Independent Data Monitoring Committee, who reviewed the data on 122 patients out of the planned enrolled 177, recommended that the study enrollment will be halted immediately based on the overwhelming evidence that the drug is meeting the primary endpoint. This has led to the May 4, 2021 press release of BiolineRx, where they summarized the results of their study. You'll find a link to their press release in the description below, but without going further into any of the details, let's take a look what happened to the stock price. BiolineRx trades on the Nasdaq under the ticker symbol BLRX. And we can see that on May the 3rd, prior to the announcement by BiolineRx, the stock price was trading at $3.19, and then on May the 4th shot up to $4.88, which constitutes a roughly 53% increase of the stock price. However, following this peak only one day later, on May the 5th, the stock price had slipped by slightly over $1 to $3.75 and has unfortunately come down ever since. Now, let's not forget that in this time frame, the overall stock market has come down quite significantly, so I don't want to put the emphasis really only on the decline in the few days following that particular peak. However, I would like to emphasize the following. Clearly, BiolineRx are an R&D company, and as listed on their own website, they seek to collaborate with leading global pharmaceutical companies with proven track records and clinical experience for the completion of final phases of the clinical trials and commercial capabilities to successfully bring innovative developments to market. And as they continue to state, they seem to be lacking the commercial development capabilities, and those are sought through the partnerships with other pharmaceutical companies who have more expertise in that area. As investors, we need to understand that Phase 3 clinical trial results are certainly great and are ultimately the gatekeeper to commercialization. However, if the developing organization presenting these clinical trial data do not have the capabilities or the expertise to commercialize their asset, then the commercial benefits of this asset will be delayed until such a partner can be found and the program can be successfully commercialized. I personally believe that part of the stock price decline following the announcement is probably due to the realization that commercialization is not happening quite yet. I am sure that many investors, not only me, are then looking for the identification of the appropriate partner who is willing and able to bring this program successfully commercially to market. I'd also like to add that this type of collaboration that needs to be established is somewhat commonplace in the biotech industry, and I speak from experience. Large and well-established companies, such as Big Pharma, as they are traditionally referred to, may sometimes struggle being as innovative and agile as the younger companies that focus initially only on research. Oftentimes we can observe that Big Pharma tries to fill the gap or the lack of innovation through either the acquisition of younger, highly innovative companies or through in-licensing. In either case, it is then the commercial experience bringing new treatments to market that really drives the commercialization of a new product category or a new drug forward. And this is then how we as investors stand to make our money. Personally, I'll be waiting for BiolineRx to make such an announcement that they have found and identified a suitable partner for the commercialization. I am sure once this happens, this will have a more profound impact on the stock price. If you learned anything useful for your investment journey, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. As always, I thank you very much for your interest and support.